For the first time in school history, High Point is going dancing. What a turnaround it has been for this program under second-year head coach Alan Huss. High Point has all the tools to go on a run as a high seed team this year and has an extremely deep roster. I mean, just go take a look at what they did in the Big South Conference Championship game, having 50 of their 81 points coming from bench players. This is a story of High Point, the dangerous mid-major team. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college sports content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know who you think could shock the world and go on a run this year in the comments section below. Before we talk about this iteration of the team and what Alan Huss has done to turn this program around, let's first talk about the history of this program and why this is so special. High Point basketball began in 1927, going 14-4 in their first season as a program joining the North State Intercollegiate Athletic Conference in 1930, which would later become known as the Conference of the Carolinas. They would find on and off success as a member of the Carolinas, winning 12 conference tournament titles throughout their time as a member, playing in the NAIA tournament 7 times. Virgil Yao would become one of the early figureheads of the program, going 342 and 215 across 2 stints as the program's head coach from 1932 to 1945 and 1953 to 1962. During World War II, when the program was struggling with a shortage of men players to field a roster, Yao recruited female student Nancy Eisenhower to play on the team, and she became the first woman to play on a collegiate men's basketball team. Tom Quinn took over as head coach in 1962, coaching at High Point for 4 total seasons, putting together a record of 95 and 22, winning 2 conference titles and making the NAIA tournament twice before leaving to take the ECU job. The program would hover around 500 ball until the hiring of Jerry Steele, who took over as head coach in 1972 and would coach the program for 31 years. Steele played basketball at Wake Forest from 1958 to 1961, where he was a captain and twice a member of the ACC All-Academic team. Steele was the head coach at Guilford College from 1964 to 1971. He then coached the ABA's Carolina Cougars for a season in 1970 to 1971. Steele would go on to be the school's winningest head coach, putting together a 495 and 412 record, and then guiding the school to 6 conference tournament titles in the NAIA and NCAA Division II. When he sadly passed away in 2021, High Point Athletics Department said in the article, he was a basketball icon, which is a status that was solidified with his induction to 5 Hall of Fames: the NAIA Hall of Fame, North Carolina Hall of Fame, Guilford County Sports Hall of Fame, Wake Forest Sports Hall of Fame, and was in the inaugural class of the High Point University Sports Hall of Fame. He helped guide the Panthers from the NAIA level to the Division II level and up to the Division I level in 1999. While the program struggled towards the end of his tenure due to the transitioning up a level, he still led the program to 16 winning seasons and helped raise the profile of the program. In the 2001-2002 season, he helped lead the Panthers to the Big South Conference title game, where they fell to Winthrop in the title game. Steele also tested the program early on at the Division I level, scheduling games against number 22 Wake Forest, number 8 Florida, Kentucky, and Auburn. Bart Lundy would replace the legendary coach in 2003, arriving after taking Queens to the Division II Final Four with a 115 and 41 overall record. Lundy led High Point to their first winning season at the Division I level with his first season and led them to the Big South Conference Championship game. His best season would come in 2006-2007 when he led the Panthers to a 22-10 record, led them to 4 winning seasons, but following a 9-21 season in 2008-2009, he would be let go, finishing with a 96-87 record. Scott Cherry replaced Lundy and would lead High Point to 2 CIT tournaments and 2 NIT tournaments, their first postseason appearances since moving up, putting back-to-back 21-plus game winning seasons in 2014 when they went 23-10 and 2015 when they went 21-11. Following the 2017-2018 season, the two would mutually agree to part ways as Cherry finished with 4 Big South regular season titles and finished with a 146 and 134 record. Orlando Tubby Smith would be a splashy hire for High Point in 2018. A former player, Smith led Kentucky to the national title in 1998, was one of 2 head coaches at the time to lead 5 different programs to the NCAA Division I tournament with the likes of Tulsa, Georgia, Kentucky, Minnesota, and Texas Tech. He was named Coach of the Year in 2003 and won a gold medal with the U.S. men's basketball team in 2000 as a coach. But he would struggle at High Point, going 16-15 his first season, and never having a winning season after that, going 45-67 as head coach. He would step down in 2022, naming his son Gigi his replacement. In his first full season, he would go 14-17 and would be fired. Alan Huss took over as head coach for High Point in 2023. As previously mentioned, the program was not in a great place after Tubby and J.G. Smith. Huss played college basketball at Creighton and started his coaching career at the high school level, spending time at 4 different high schools. He would find the most success at La Lumiere School, where he would put together a 102-19 record in 4 seasons. He would get his first college coaching job at New Mexico in 2014, serving as an assistant for Craig Neal, before returning to Creighton as one of Greg McDermott's assistants in 2017. During his last year at Creighton, he helped the Blue Jays make it to the Elite Eight, which complicated things for High Point. They had reached out to Huss before the start of the postseason, which led to an interview, and both sides seemingly mutually were interested. With an extended March Madness run, High Point and Huss were risking losing players to the transfer portal and making things even harder to recruit. At the time, Huss hadn't even stepped foot on campus. He told the North State Journal, "Luckily for me, I'd heard of Dr. Nito Quibin, High Point's president, and the success being had at High Point, both athletically and in the academic world. I knew the campus was one of the nicer campuses in the country. I had the opportunity to meet with the administration and knew we were aligned in our visions. In today's world, playing deeply into the tournament, you kind of have to make a leap of faith, rather than worry about all the other things that didn't matter. I knew the important things were all in place. It was an easy decision, just different. When you've got 2 teenage daughters and a wife to deal with, going to a place they've never seen." He did have experience recruiting the North Carolina area, having helped New Mexico sign Jalen Harris from Wilson. Creighton would fall to San Diego State 57-56 in the Elite Eight, and Huss immediately got to work, helping rebuild the High Point program. At the time, High Point had not experienced a winning season since the 2018-2019 season, which was Tubby Smith's first year serving as head coach. The Huss hire seemed like a home run hire, almost immediately, as High Point would start the first season 14-4 and had their best start in conference play since 2015. Huss explained the chaos when he first took the job. "We played in the Elite Eight within a basket of the Final Four, and I didn't know I was getting the job until the night before the Sweet 16 game. So I didn't have a lot of time to get my ducks in a row, whether that be staffing or players or whatever the case may be. And in the world of portaling in the spring, we lost some of our best players. One guy, Zach Austin, is starting at Pitt now. There's a guy, Jaden House, starting at Rhode Island. One, Bryant Randleman, has started at James Madison, amongst others. We weren't really exactly sure what to expect. We just went to work to try to put together the most competitive team out there that we could." He brought in 11 newcomers, basically reshaping the roster within only a few weeks, which made the great start to the season even more impressive. They would go on to win the Big South regular season title, and Huss would be named the Big South Coach of the Year. Sadly, their dreams of dancing in March for the first time in school history would be squashed in the semifinals of the Big South Conference Tournament. They would fall to Longwood 80-79 in overtime. They would accept an invite to play in the College Basketball Invitational, where they would beat Cleveland State and Arkansas State, but fell to Seattle 77-67 in the CBI Finals. Heading into the 2024-2025 season, High Point was picked to finish first in the Big South preseason polls, earning 17 of the possible 18 first-place votes. It was the first time since 2015 that they were voted preseason favorites. We returned 4 starters and 8 players overall that broke the school record for wins in a season at the Division I level the previous year, going 27-9. The Panthers would not falter from high expectations early this season, as they started the year 7-0, beating the likes of East Tennessee State, Averett, Coppin State, Jackson State, North Carolina Central, UAB, and American, before falling to Missouri State 71-61 in the Cayman Islands Classic. In that same tournament, they beat Old Dominion and Hampton before returning home, where they took down Pfeiffer, and UNC Greensboro would give them their first loss outside a tournament, as the Panthers would then go on a 4-game win streak, beating North Texas, App State, Carolina, and Southern Illinois, before falling to Norfolk State to close out non-conference play. At the time, they were sitting at 15-3 and beat Radford in the Big South season opener, before falling to UNC Asheville 103-99 on the road. They would then beat Charleston Southern and Gardner-Webb before falling to Longwood 82-80 on the road. They would close out the regular season on an 11-game win streak, beating Presbyterian twice, South Carolina Upstate twice, Winthrop twice, Radford, UNC Asheville, Longwood, Charleston Southern, and Gardner-Webb to finish the regular season 26-5, won the Big South regular season title for the second year in a row. This time they entered the Big South Conference title focused and, more importantly, experienced. They beat Gardner-Webb for the third time this season in the quarterfinals, dispatched Radford in a nail-biter 76-73 in the semifinals, and beat Winthrop 81-69 yesterday in the conference title game to lock up a bid for this year's NCAA tournament. The first time in school history they will be playing in the tournament at the Division I level. What made things even more special is the fact that they came back from a 15-point deficit in the second half to win the title game. After the game, Huss said, "We talked about the progression of the team, going from coach-fed to player-led. In the last 60 days or so, we've progressed into that space. Today at halftime, we were in a bad place. Instead of me ranting and raving at halftime, I walked into a group that was self-policing. They were talking about the process that needed to be corrected, and they were leading themselves to a space where we need to get to. We have to consistently remind ourselves how fortunate we are for the support we receive from the administration, our boosters, our supporters, our fans, and our students. They love this university. They love this basketball team. We're fortunate to be a small part of that, and hopefully we brought them some joy today. Today were absolutely driving us and willing us to victory there in the second half when we made our run. 50 of High Point's 81 points came from the bench, showing how deep and dangerous this team could be. According to SB Nation's Blocking the Bracket, High Point is projected to be a 13 seed for this year's tournament, with the Athletics' Jim Root and Lindsey Schnell writing High Point will be a dark horse to make a Sweet 16 run as a double-digit seed. At 29-5 overall, with the top 25 offense per KenPom, these Panthers can score with anyone. The dominance of their depth was on full display Sunday, and Huss's group is fully capable of pulling an upset or two off in the big dance. High Point should be an excited team to watch come next week, and would not be surprised if they shock the world per se and win a handful of games. What do you think? Which low major or mid-major program do you think goes on a run this year? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.